Hi everybody. Hey, welcome to Kids Church Online. I'm Mr. Tad and this is Asbury Church, and I have a challenge for myself. So I'm going to try to see if I can stack these cups as fast as I can, and so we'll see how I do. So let's count to 3 and that'll help me get started. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm going to have to do it again. All right. Okay. We're going to try this again. All right. You ready? Okay. Oh boy. Okay. All right. We'll try it again. This is hard. Okay. All right. We're going to do this again. This is hard. Well, tell you what, while I try to figure this out, why don't you enjoy a song from Yancey, Heartbeat for You, and I'll see you in a little bit.
to speak your truth. With my days, I will praise you.
All right, well, I'm going to put that aside for a while. That stacking the cup thing, maybe later. We'll try that later. So, I have a question. Have you ever tried to do something that was just super, super hard? And you kept trying and you kept at it, but it still was really hard for you. Or maybe something was hard and you gave up right away and you just quit. Well, we're going to talk about some guys that actually kept going and kept going, even though things were hard sometimes for them. They kept going. Today we're talking about Paul and Barnabas. Okay, and in our Bible, they are towards the back in the New Testament in the book of Acts. And Acts is kind of a history book. And there's all kinds of different special things that went on. Different people that served Jesus. This is after Jesus went back up into heaven to be at the right hand of God. And so there's all kinds of wonderful things that happened as God worked through different people that loved Him and followed Him and just obeyed Him. So in the New Testament, again, there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts. Okay, so we're in the book of Acts, and again, we're talking about Paul and Barnabas. Okay, let me give you a little background real quick. Okay, Paul, if you remember from last week, Paul was a guy that loved God, but he didn't think that the people that believed in Jesus were right. He thought they were totally wrong and causing trouble. So he actually worked to get those people arrested, and some even died, and he'd get them in prison or whatever. So he got permission in the town of Tarsus to go there and get more people that believed and loved Jesus arrested. So as he was traveling on that road, a bright light came, and it was Jesus. And Jesus said, "Why are you persecuting me? Why are you causing this trouble?" And when he got up from the ground, he couldn't see. He was blind. So the guys that were with him led him into town, and they eventually met up with a guy named Ananias. And Ananias loved Jesus, and but God had told him ahead of time that there's going to be this guy named Saul coming. Well, that's exactly what happened. But Ananias trusted God so much that he was willing to go and pray for Saul. And Saul then was healed, and he realized, oh my goodness, Jesus is real, and this is real. So then he started learning about Jesus and started studying. He knew a whole bunch about God, but he didn't know much about Jesus. And so that's Paul. Now there's another guy that was following Jesus, and he was a believer, and he was an encourager, and he loved to help people, saying, "You can do it. I think you can do this," and helping people. And so he was an encourager. And so he and Paul met up, and Barnabas actually helped Saul, but his name changed later to Paul. Sorry if I confused you. And then, so they both grew together. And so then they started going out and telling people about Jesus. And they would go from town to town to town, and they would meet up with people who were already followed Jesus, or they would start a church there. And so it was pretty cool. Now, sometimes when they went to these different towns, things went great. People listened, and they were excited to hear about Jesus, and they would accept Jesus and make Jesus their forever best friend. Invite Jesus into their life. But sometimes they go to these towns and they might get arrested. They might get thrown in jail. They might get run out of town. And then a couple times people threw rocks at them to try to hurt them. And it was pretty sad. But you know what they did? They kept going. They kept trusting God to help them, and they kept going around and teaching more and more people, going maybe to another town and then another town, and a lot of people accepted Jesus into their heart. The other thing that they did was they didn't just tell the Jewish people, they told the Gentiles. And if you remember a couple weeks ago, I talked about Gentiles. Gentile is anyone who wasn't Jewish. And during those days, they kind of thought that the Jewish people were the special people, and that they had the best connection with God. But God had showed these guys that no, He loves everyone. And so Paul and Barnabas would go around telling everybody about that. All right. Well, they were very faithful to God, and God was faithful to them. God protected them, took care of them, met their needs, and so it was pretty cool. And so, the other thing that's really cool is that God actually gave them power to do miracles just like Jesus did. There was a time when they healed a man that couldn't walk, and Paul went over and prayed for him, and the man was able to get up and walk. There's all kinds of different stories like that, and it was pretty cool. Well, as time went on, Paul and Barnabas decided to separate and go their separate ways. So Paul went with a guy named Silas, who, by the way, is who we're going to talk about next week. And Barnabas went with John Mark. And with all of that, they actually covered more and more towns and cities, and more people got to hear about Jesus. So it actually turned out kind of cool. And so they kept going. Like I said, they had hard times, but they kept going. They didn't give up. They kept trying. You know, boys and girls, for each one of us, you and me, we need to keep going. We need to keep trying. There are things that are hard for us, aren't there? Doing our schoolwork. I don't know about you, but there are times when I was doing my schoolwork and I really struggled. I had a hard time understanding something, and someone would have to help me, or sometimes I felt like just giving up. Have you ever felt that way before? I'm sure you have. And so there are times when you just have to keep pushing through. Okay, how about the coronavirus right now? That has been hard. You know, having to stay in your house, not going places, not playing with your friends, needing to stay 6 feet away from people, wear a mask if you go out. I mean, let's face it, it's been kind of a hard time, and it's been really, really different. But you know what? We keep pushing through. We keep trying. Well, the same thing is, those of us who know Jesus and have asked Him to be our forever best friend, Jesus really wants us to share the good news. And we call that the gospel, the good news of Jesus, and how Jesus is God's very own Son, how Jesus came to this earth, and He started out as just a little baby, and then as He grew, He started ministering. He did miracles, He healed people, He taught people, and then later people told lies about Him, and He ended up eventually getting arrested. They were mean to Him, and they put Him on the cross. And He died, and everybody was sad at that point. But God had a big plan, and Jesus came back to life on the third day. He conquered death, proving He truly was God's Son, but He also did something really cool. When He died on that cross, because He was perfect, He paid the price for all the things we do wrong, which is our sin. And that is the good news. That is the gospel. And so we can share that same thing with our friends and our family and different people we come in contact with. And I hope you think about doing that. And, we need to spend time doing some things that could be hard for us, like reading in our Bible, or maybe we get someone to read to us. Spending time in prayer and talking to God, and telling Him what we feel and what we're excited about, what we're sad about, and asking for His help. Getting to church as often as we can. I know right now we can't go to church, and that's been hard. I've sure missed you all a whole bunch. But one of these days we're going to get to be coming back to church again. And I hope you'll come to church. And even if you don't go to my church, Asbury Church, I hope you go to a church that maybe your family goes to, or somewhere. But get plugged back in. And hopefully that's just in a matter of weeks. And anyway, all those kinds of things we keep doing, and we push through. And you know what? It's exciting. It's exciting when you are doing what you know God wants you to do. And He blesses you in that. Sometimes it can be hard, but you know what? You have this great feeling because you know you are doing what He wants. You are in the will of God. It's pretty exciting. So I hope that you'll be thinking about these things, and that you'll start doing these things. Again, read your Bible so you can learn, and start in the New Testament, the second half, the part after Jesus came, and spend time in prayer, spend time getting to church, and spend time telling your friends and family about Jesus, and just tell them your story. And I hope you really will commit to doing this. It is exciting, as I told you. So, okay, we want to care about other people, don't we? And telling people about Jesus is a way that we can care about them, because we want them to go to heaven someday too. All right. Well, next week, I'm very excited. We're going to talk about Paul again, but this time we're going to talk about his adventures with Silas. And they had all kinds of different things go on. It was pretty crazy times. But again, they kept going, and more people learned about Jesus. And so that's next week. Another thing that we're doing that I'm really excited about too is that we're going to start Zoom meetings. So we can get together and we can see each other and talk to each other. And so we're going to be doing that on Tuesdays at 11 in the morning. And so I hope you'll join in. The information to do that will be on the screen. And so we'll get to see each other again. And you'll get to see our other friends from church, and maybe meet some new friends. So Tuesdays at 11 o'clock in the morning is when we're going to be doing our Zoom meetings. So I hope you'll join us. And if you need help, get your parents to help you. But I bet a lot of you already know how to do Zoom because you've been doing it through schoolwork. So I'm excited about that. And then when this broadcast is over, be sure and go to Superbook and go to the part about Paul and Barnabas. Go to Lesson 1 and the video part of it. Click on that, and then you can see the Superbook video that shows all kinds of things about Paul and Barnabas. And it's pretty fun. I think I like Gizmo the best. I think he's the most fun. He kind of gets confused sometimes, but he's fun. And before we leave, we have another Yancey song for you, and it's Serve and Shine. And so we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless. Bye-bye. Okay, well, I'm going to try this again because I want to try to keep going, and let's see if I'll be able to do it. I've got to be able to do this, and I guess practice makes perfect. So here we go. Okay, again, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, hey, I'm getting it. All right. Enjoy the Yancey song, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.